Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, on March 6th, Kenyan aviation workers went on strike, paralyzing operations at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport for hours. They were protesting against a proposed takeover of operations at the airport by Kenya Airways. The takeover bid, dubbed Project Simba, came to the limelight following the discovery of details of a cabinet paper proving the deal, and it has continued to raise more questions than answers. So tonight, KTN's political editor Ben Kiteli goes behind the headlines to explain what the takeover bid really means.
The Kenyan aviation industry has been rocked by turbulence over the past couple of weeks, courtesy of a cabinet paper that approved the running of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport by debt-riddled Kenya Airways, ostensibly to help the national carrier generate more revenue. Apparently, the deal was aimed at helping both entities, but it has continued to raise eyebrows. Why would a company grappling with a 200 billion shilling debt want to operate one of the busiest airports on the continent? We go behind the headlines. The proposal, a document dubbed Project Simba, was the result of efforts to save the national carrier Kenya Airways from going under. The memorandum paints a grim picture of what has been known as the pride of Africa, an airline that can no longer compete with international rivals. An airline that, according to the document, could face insolvency and repossession of aircrafts. Hence, the controversial proposal of a 30-year concession to have the loss-making Kenya Airways take over running of JKIA and to remit a concession fee of 2.9 billion shillings to the Kenya Airports Authority annually. So how would this model work to help KQ? Kenya Airways' core business is aeroplanes and flight operations, and is obviously not an authority in airport management. Therefore, KQ would manage JKIA through what are known as special purpose vehicles, or SPVs.
If KQ takes up Kenya Airports Authority, they would need to have a third-party company that focuses exclusively on airport management. And there are companies all over the world that would do that. So KQ would be in partnership with that company, because they don't have the capacity, they don't have the training. They have been running aeroplanes since they were founded.
Due to the said SPVs, the aviation workers have projected potential job losses in the future, and that's what got them to down their tools in protest.
It means all the staff of Jomo Kenyatta Airport are seconded to that company, and they become employees of that company, and they are transferred at the discretion of that company.
Sources have told KTN News that it was this report detailing KQ's dire state that reportedly prompted President Uhuru Kenyatta to have Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia to rework the document into a cabinet paper.
It's not the business of the union people to decide who is the management of the company. It's not their business. That's the business of the board and the employer.
Critics of the Project Simba proposal have cited the said special purpose vehicles as being shadowy, intimating that Kenya Airways' debt crisis could provide leeway for unorthodox running of JKIA and conflict of interest.
It became very clear that KQ was never going to be able to service the loans from these 11 banks. So these 11 banks came together and created an entity, and they said they're going to have a shareholding in KQ.
The government issued what is known as a sovereign guarantee to the local banks, turning their debt into equity worth some 75 billion Kenya shillings. Kenya Airports Authority Managing Director Johnny Anderson told the National Assembly's Public Investments Committee that Kenya Airways owes CBA Group 3.1 billion shillings, NIC Bank 2.1 billion, Equity Bank 5.2 billion, and National Bank 3.5 billion shillings. Cooperative Bank is owed 3.3 billion, while Diamond Trust Bank and KCB Group are each owed 2.1 billion shillings. The Project Simba document states that should the airline collapse, then among other things, the banks could cash the government guarantee to the tune of 75 billion shillings.
The evaluation that we have done so far has yielded significant gaps that we can see.
The issue has then led to question of conflict of interest. Chairman of the Kenya Airports Authority Board, Isaac Awondo, is also the Group Chief Executive Officer of CBA, a bank that has been pushing for a merger with fellow creditor to KQ, NIC Bank.
Probably the chair has realized Kenya Airways has no capacity to sort out the loans. So they want to merge and use some other shortcuts.
Experts say that a takeover bid is likely to leave the Kenya Airports Authority having to manage the rest of the country's airports with a shoestring budget.
Kenya Airports Authority would now have to focus on all the other airports around the country. Essentially, they would concede. A concession is you concede Jomo Kenyatta operations to these special purpose vehicle for a period of 30 years.
Aviation workers fighting for their craft. A tough-talking transport minister.
It is not mandatory for them to work here. Let them stay at home.
And an audit by KPMG, following which lawyers have advised KAA against the deal. All eyes will be on the august house to guide the nation on what next for the pride of Africa. Ben Kitili, KTN News.